Your big rival from back in the day, Garry Kasparov, did not perform well. Your thoughts about
Uh-oh.
The gap was so big. In St. Louis, he seemed like a chess player. I mean, he seemed like a top chess player. He knew his openings, he knew everything, and he was playing fast. Of course, some drama happened, but
Oh
yeah,
man, did he really?
just,
Oh my god, did I just really hear that? He seemed like a chess player. Oh my god. Okay, you guys, so I'm just going to talk a little bit about the Grand Chess Tour very briefly before we keep moving forward. So the Grand Chess Tour took place from July 4th to July 12th. It featured rapid chess and blitz chess. There were multiple portions. There was a rapid portion, a blitz portion. This table is of the blitz. Now, what I would say of the blitz is not super surprising. You see Maxime at the top. I guess, you know, Jan kind of fell off at the very end. A little bit of a disappointing finish for him because he was leading most of the event. Based off of his rapid results, he was way ahead. A big credit, of course, goes to Vishy and Anand. Had a very good performance in the blitz. I think he finished in the middle of the rapid. Maybe not. It wasn't great. He finished actually towards the bottom. He had 9 points. 9 points in the rapid. Not terrible though. But had a great result, 12 points in the blitz. Meanwhile, if we look at the other end of the table, we'll see, you know, it looks pretty standard, but then down at the bottom half of the table, or at the very bottom, I should say, you see Garry Kasparov, 2801 rating with 2.5 points out of 18 games. So obviously very difficult result for Garry. 1 draw on the first day, lost 8 games. Second day, I think he got 2 points. He had 1 win and 2 draws. But he also still lost 6 other games, I believe. So what to say? I think the first thing that I would say is, as you see with Garry Kasparov, I think that it's very unlikely that we're going to see much more of him playing in these sorts of events. It was very clear that he was outclassed. He tried to play modern theory, and he just got blown away, and especially in the Najdorf. Like he tried to play mainline variations, and he just got blown off the board. So what I would say is I think it's unlikely we're going to see Garry playing a lot more of this. I'm sure he's supposed to be playing in St. Louis as well, but certainly I think it shows that time has caught up with him for sure. Because if we look at previous events that Garry played in, like in St. Louis the past couple of years, he had bad results. But the thing is, with the bad results Garry had, it didn't seem like he was outclassed. It seemed like it was solely a matter of he was too slow at certain moments in the game. But he was getting good positions. Whereas in this event in Croatia, it seemed like Garry did not get any good positions for the most part. Maybe had 1 or 2 good positions, but it was generally very bad. So for Garry, I think what it shows is that, you know, when you've been retired for 15 years, I think that's how long he's been retired. When you've been retired for 15 years, it's just not possible to come back and play the way that you once did. Secondly, what I would say is, of course, when you compare Garry to Vishy, I think you have to keep in mind that Vishy's having great results, but it's not really a fair comparison because Vishy has been playing chess throughout. Vishy did not take 15 years off. So when people start to say, well, Vishy had a great result and Garry had a bad result, there's a big difference because Vishy has been playing consistently throughout. The second point that I'd make, which I think is very heartening about Vishy, is not even just the age thing, but it shows that even if you haven't played a lot during the last year or two, if you do good preparation and you're ready to show up and play, you can still put in good results. I think that's one of those things that a lot of people, they think like, well, you know, like with me, for example, I haven't played over the board in 2 years now, but will that really affect me? I think when you see what happened with Vishy, it's a very clear sign that even if you haven't played a lot over the board, you still you can still put up good results, I should say. So that's what I would say in general about the tournament. Again, I think Nepo had a good result. Kind of fell off at the end in the blitz, but overall it was a good result. So that's just a general bit that I would say about it. But that's pretty simple. Also, I'd say, you know, of course, Vishy had the best performance overall. If we're looking objectively, Maxime had a good result in the blitz to win the whole event overall, I believe. Nepo, very good in the rapid, very good. Kind of was important for him to put up a good result, and so that Magnus at least feels some pressure or feels the power that Nepo has. Ivan Saric, also an amazing performance in the rapid. Very good result. He got 10 points. I think he had 1 loss, but he wins against Nepo. He had a win against Garry. very, very solid. So that's just my general takeaway from the Grand Chess Tour in Croatia, is that Garry just simply wasn't meant to be. And I think, the game has passed him by, game or time or whatever you want to say, but it clearly was not a result that was that anyone wants to see. That's for sure. All right, so you guys said there's a Garry clip. Is there a Garry clip? I mean, I saw the clip of the Nepo game. Let me see if I can pull that up. I saw that.
We'll see if Nepo can do the same as he is playing the night game. I think Nepo seemed to be offering a handshake. I think Garry didn't realize that.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell. I mean, this is one of the things that I would say is that just in general terms, like, Garry is so pissed off by he's so pissed off by the previous game that he lost that, like, he literally is not shaking hands, which is pretty I don't know. It's not a big deal objectively, but it's certainly it's a little bit odd. Well, I don't think that Nepo's scared, but the thing is, it's like when you're playing as someone who's the greatest chess player of all time, and he's having this result, which is really, really bad. Like, it's like you feel bad for him. Like, it's not even like you're not even thinking about like your own result. You just feel bad for him because, like, everybody remembers Garry at his absolute peak when he was crushing. So to see him having a bad result like this is pretty rough. But still, I mean, I would say, yeah, I think I mean, it's a little bit odd that Gary's like not shaking hands before the game starts. That is for sure. I mean, that he's that pissed off by his result. But at the same time, what I would say is that when you look at a clip like this, what you see though is you see the characteristics of what made Garry such a strong chess player. Is that, like, you can tell he's really angry, he's really mad, and that's the sort of attitude you have to get to the top. You have to be really angry and not accepting bad results. No, I think Garry. No, the reason, I mean, Garry didn't see the handshake, but the thing is, Garry is just legitimately really pissed off here. You can tell from the look from his look, you can tell he's really angry here. So that's true. It's right here. Okay, what's this? Here we go.
We are with the 13th world champion, Garry Kasparov, the brainchild behind the Grand Chess Tour, and
even his
much
microphone
of what
is scared.
happens here in Croatia. Garry, we are all rooting for you. We were all rooting for you, but somehow this tournament, it was not to be.
Look, I think it's easy to explain. So it's not just being rusty. It's just these guys are professional, and I'm an amateur. So I spent a little bit of time with Peter Swidler a few days before the tournament.
Okay, I mean, I don't know. Like, saying he's an amateur. I mean, that does feel a little bit like copium. I'm not gonna lie. That feels a little bit like copium because Kasparov would never say that. I guarantee you 100%. I guarantee you 100% that Garry has watched games that some of the players have played, and he's like, those guys are just trash. I guarantee you that he's watched games of, like, I don't want to say, like, I'm sure, like, Anish or Jordan or some of these players where he's watched games and he's like, he sees the openings and things like this, and he thinks the games are trash. So I don't really buy that, actually, when he says that he's an amateur. That feels a little bit like copium.
Going through this opening theory because in 960 I'm far more comfortable because I don't have to overload my brains with all this opening theory. And I have to say that in the last few days, so I was shocked because we looked at some of the positions that I analyzed before some of the participants of this tournament were born. And then in 1 minute, the engine tells you that everything I did, preparing for Nigel in 1993 is a crap. So it's some kind of little shocking experience because, I have to go over it. And again, I probably could do a better job preparing, but the problem is, just shifting from totally different things.
He's not wrong, by the way. Actually, he's not wrong, though. What he says there is absolutely true. When Garry talks about, like, his openings, when he plays some of these openings, it's definitely true that, like, when you look at those games with computers now, it's ridiculous how bad some of those games and some of those lines are. He's 100% right on that it's changed. That being said, what he prepared and played, the line that he played in the Bishop G5 Najdorf is just objectively not playable. So I will add that a little bit.
Having a speech on cybersecurity or recording message supporting dissidents in Iran, and just do, and then you have to play guys. And they're the best guys. This is their job, and I'm, it's, things could go better in the first day, but it just, and I was shocked. They just played Bishop G5, and all my life I played Queen B6, but now to memorize this line, so and I played lousy with queen c7. But I have to say that I had decent positions. It's in all games. But
You notice the time became a factor a lot. You would sit and
because I
think for a
lost.
while.
This is the moment. I was shifted to ground that I didn't expect. So everything went just in the wrong direction. And yesterday I was really struggling. Probably I needed spend a few days, just playing. Maybe I had to play with Sharic, just to feel the pieces. So it's the different things, I play a lot online, but it's not the same. And again, it's still the same strengths. So and
that's also true.
Peter today, just Peter Swidler, we spoke, and he said, look, something is just is kind of magic, because I did much better in the training games. When we played online. So then I just did hear somehow the pressure and also I don't know, I couldn't get my act together. And today this is the first game. I was very proud. I mean, that was a great game. This is for blitz, with energies. And then just second round with Grishuk, and I took on h3. Even I could memorize. We analyzed with late Yuri Dokhoyan. This is 20 years ago. And after bishop d7, black has a decent position. Yes, it's an exchange down, but bishop 2 pawns, knight on d4. Black it's easy to play with black. Bishop d7, rook f8, bishop c6, and again, let's see what white can do. And then I just maybe I could make a brilliance, just total bust. And I still had a little bit of steam left, and then with Duda, I don't know. So somehow I touched the bishop. I don't know why I touched the bishop. After queen b3, I think he would be not dead, but it's just close to that. And actually, instead of even knight d4, probably bishop d4 was winning instantly. But I was overexcited because it was a good game. Just again, the energy. And after this game, I just, I lost. And it was Vishy.
He was dead. Yeah, he was dead, right?
Yeah, it's like I played like an amateur. So you don't play g4 and sacrifice on g6.
Garry, you're no amateur. I mean, I understand the current amateur. You're a legend in our eyes. We know the history you have will last for an eternity as one of the greatest players ever to play.
But still, this with Mami Diarov, play rook f3, give them a mate, I was so close, sort of queen e2, rook f3, and I think it's just, the way I calculated.
This interview is so funny. This interview is hilarious. It's like, because basically, like, he wants to say that, it's all fun, and it's not serious, but then you can tell when he gets in the game, he can't, he gets so into it that he's treating it like he's a pro still. That's what's so funny about it. It's once he gets going with the lines, you can tell that it's not the amateur. None of that stuff applies. He's going right back into the game he wants to play. It's just funny to see the sort of the difference. Not that there's anything wrong with that, by the way. It's just funny that he talks about it like he's an amateur, but then when he gets into the game, he's totally not talking about it like an amateur at all.
It's a mate. It's in many games I was so close.
Yo,
and yesterday was MVL was a great
as you talked about, form is important. Playing more, you have so much that you have to do.
Also, I lost sense of clock very often. So it was like MVL today. So I was close, but at the end it was dead draw, and I just totally forgot that we play. It's not just form. It's just it's look. Form means that you can get better or worse, but I'm not, again, I'm not a professional player anymore. But if not being forced to analyze these new lines and just going through these crazy Sicilians that they have to memorize so much. So I think in St. Louis I will do much better. Trust me.
We absolutely
trust me.
Forward.
I know that's what I can do, and if I don't have to waste all my energy to memorize these lines, I think I can do a better job.
Okay, I mean it's a good interview, but it's funny. It's funny because also the thing that's so funny about it is when Garry talks about, he's saying if he didn't have to do this preparation, the irony to Garry saying that is that Garry basically pushed the game forward by doing all this analysis and really pushing opening preparation to where it is today. So it's very funny when Garry's he's saying, no, but if it wasn't about the opening, I would do fine. But he's the guy who basically made chess the way that it is today, where basically everyone has to memorize insane amounts of lines. So it's kind of funny that he says that when literally he's the guy who pioneered it. So it's very funny to hear that. Still, it's a good interview, obviously.
Your thoughts on the fact that the tour now is expanding next year. We heard the announcement to be in Poland. It shows that the Grand Chess Tour is alive and well with great possibilities for the future.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Grand Chess Tour is I think it's a very important event for the world of chess because it's professional. When I say professional, it's not about professional players, but it's about sponsors. So we are building something that will last, and the fact is that we're expanding. That sends a message that this format works, and whatever people say, oh, that's the online chess will replace everything. This is the live chess, especially classical chess, is dead. No, actually not. So we know that Bucharest now loves classical chess, so we have 2 events for classical, St. Louis and Bucharest, and we keep adding tournaments for Rapid and Blitz, and I think it's great excitement. And the numbers online, that tell you that people still like, to see it as the gladiator spirit.
And people like seeing you, one of the greatest gladiators ever. Thanks so much for coming and standing up with us. It's Garry Kasparov, the 13th world champion, the visionary behind the Grand Chess Tour.
Somebody have the Vishy, I'll watch the Vishy interview. But before I do that, I wanted to add one thing. When Garry talks about like the time issues he had, that's not unique to this event. Garry, ever since, at least in the terms where I've played him, like in St. Louis, every event back, he's had time issues, and I think that's not even a matter of form. I think that's just a product of age, like age and awareness. Of playing the game. I don't think it has anything to do with like the form per se. Is what I would add. So I think that's just just call it what it is. Okay, let's watch this Vishy interview. Wait, is this Vishy interview? Okay, watch this one.
It's the legendary world champion Viswanathan Anand coming in second place. Vishy.
Well, yeah, but when you guys talk about Vishy being old, but the thing is, Vishy didn't take 15 years off. Vishy's been playing chess professionally for the last 15 years, whereas Garry has not. So that's why you can't compare them. You can't compare 1-to-1. You just can't compare 1-to-1. It's not a fair comparison because Vishy's been playing professionally for 15 years.
You hadn't played in 16 months. You said, you're trying to get back into the swing of things. Second place, 5 wins in a row. How did you do it?
It just happened. I mean, I felt I was playing well in the Rapid, but obviously Anish, I'd come close to saving it, and then there was the other loss, but in the Blitz I was apprehensive because when you've been away for a long time, you don't know how you'll play. But
wait, yeah, actually you guys are right. When you say like, yeah, it's funny to hear it, isn't it? It's like you hear Vishy and he's like, it just happened. It just happened. You don't hear Vishy saying, oh yeah, I played a great game here. If I go rook c3 or something, I would have won that game. It's pretty funny to contrast them, isn't it? It's like Vishy had the great result, and Vishy's not like, he's not talking about like, oh man, I played this great game. Like if I done that move, like that's pretty funny to hear.
But it went fabulously. Yesterday, already I was pleased with the +2. And today it came, I started off brilliantly. I should have beaten both Anish and Duda. Completely winning positions. And I drew both. Mm-hmm. And then you always, they say, if you don't score, your opponent will. So I was kind of nervous, but this 4 wins in a row, look, I'm happier than anyone else, I can tell you.
Right, 4 wins. I stand corrected. Yeah, remember those 2 wins you could have had in the first 2 games. That would have just catapulted you. But still, the result is amazing. You hadn't played chess in all this time. You hadn't been on a plane in all this time. What makes it come back, you think, to those fingertips?
It's a bit random. I mean, a thing here, a thing there, and the tournament can be different. But sometimes you just have the feeling that the wind is in your back. And I won some very nice games in the Blitz. I mean, my French with Korobov in the Blitz was very nice yesterday. Today was much choppier, but still, I played well, but I cannot explain why.
Your colleague, your big rival from back in the day, Garry Kasparov, did not perform well. Your thoughts about that?
Uh-oh.
Yeah, he really seemed to struggle. What struck me was I can't tell the difference between the 12 or 13 years he was away when he played St. Louis and the 16 odd years after this tournament. But the gap was so big. In St. Louis, he seemed like a chess player. I mean, he seemed like a top chess player. He knew his openings, he knew everything, and he was playing fast. Of course, some drama happened, but
oh man, did he really? Oh my god, did I just really hear that? He seemed like a chess player. Oh my god. Oh my god, I have to go back.
What struck me was I can't tell the difference between the 12 or 13 years he was away when he played St. Louis and the 16 odd years after this tournament. But the gap was so big. In St. Louis, he seemed like a chess player. I mean, he seemed like a top chess player. He knew his openings, he knew everything, and he was playing fast. Of course, some drama happened, but here he just seemed out of it completely. And it was very surprising in the opening ceremony to hear him say that, trying to lower everyone's expectations. And I thought, is that the Garry we used to know? And maybe that was a kind of warning sign, but I mean, it's clear this is not the Garry we recognize. But that was a tough thing. And one thing I'll give him credit for, he didn't back down on the last day. He just kept going and going. So that's still, he's got that.
What events do you have coming up that your fans can look forward to?
Well, in a couple of days, I'll play no castling chess with Vladdy in Dortmund. And after that, I'm going to do some commentary in the World Cup. So bits and pieces, but I think this result gives me a lot of motivation to work again. You know, I really, sometimes, you know, a good result just lifts you, and hopefully I'll be ready when some tournament comes up now.
Well, you know, everybody says you should just retire because you can't compete with these guys, but I think they're wrong. Congratulations on a fantastic result.
Thanks, Maurice.
The great Vishwanathan Anand.
Yeah, so you guys, what I would say also though is that like Vishy didn't intend that as a roast the way that it comes off, but it really it's like totally like everyone's gonna take it the other way. Like it wasn't intended to be like really like rude or a roast, but just the way he said it, everyone's gonna be like, oh man, like, you know, Vishy just he said that Gary's not a chess player. Like it's pretty funny. But nonetheless, of course, Vishy had a great result. And I mean, I don't think he's any worse for the wear. I mean, he obviously was studying chess during this break when he wasn't playing, and he had a great result. So Vishy should definitely. I mean, I think people who think that he should have retired, it's kind of insane. Again, we'll see how he does in classical, but at least in rapid and blitz, he still has it.